Come on. The United States would never elect an 80-year-old on the verge of needing hospice care to be president. That would never happen. Okay, scratch that
True
critique from the
internet
script.
suffered
You ever
depression.
watch a movie and about 20 minutes in, you're thinking to yourself, I think I've seen this movie before. Well, stop me if you've heard this one before. Thaddeus Ross has written an agreement in response to a paradigm altering event that governments could scarcely wrap their heads around, and a collection of nations have come together to sign said agreement. However, a vulnerable super soldier who can be controlled by certain sounds is used to take the fall for a terrorist attack at the signing of said agreement, and is eventually caught in front of Captain America and thrown in jail. So, Captain America resolves to help said super soldier, who is a friend of his, and Falcon tags along to help out. And it turns out the true villain of the story is someone hell-bent on revenge who's trying to manipulate events so his enemy destroys their own world themselves. Now, at this point, you might be saying, wait a minute, you're just describing the hands-down best installment in the history of the MCU, Captain America Civil War. Oh, well, we don't want that, so let's add some fresh elements to this story, shall we? What if we begin this movie with Captain America not using his shield to fistfight a foreign opponent? Then, at a later point, an evil mercenary steps out into the street to shoot at one of the good guy's car while he's driving. And Captain America and his friend go and try to get to the bottom of some disturbing secrets while being pursued by agents of the US government. Then their searching leads them to a secret, sketchy lab where extremely advanced research is being done. But their being there turns out to be exactly what the bad guy wanted, and it's a trap, and they barely make it out alive. And when they escape, they realize that the highest levels of government have been compromised. Yeah, now it's starting to sound brand spanking new, but we've still got some more freshness coming up. What if we have a character named, I don't know, Samuel Stearns, who secretly increases the levels of gamma radiation in a sort of medicine that someone takes and becomes a Hulk like creature that has to be stopped? Talk about derivative. Everything in this film is ripped off of another MCU movie and then done worse. It's got a similar setup to Civil War, but there's no real exploration of what the bounds of power of superheroes should be, and how and to what extent they should be restrained for the protection of civilians. The middle third of the film is reminiscent of The Winter Soldier, but there's no real emotional investment for Sam like there was for Cap. Isaiah a little at first, but he's basically sidelined for the vast majority of the film. Out of sight, out of mind. And there's no lesson learned by Sam, like Cap learned to be extremely skeptical of those who commanded outsized power. Yeah, this film gets dog walked by the Winter Soldier, and that movie really does not hold up well to a critical eye. And we get a Hulk fight, but it's not the Hulk, or I guess a Hulk, against another super powerful enhanced being, because Sam didn't take the Super Soldier Serum. So, how's it gonna end? Well, it should end with Red Hulk absolutely annihilating Sam. But spoiler alert, Sam just talks some sense into Red Hulk by appealing to Thaddeus Ross's emotional attachment to his daughter. What? Really? This is the first time he's transformed. And Ross's gamma radiation was increased compared to Banner's. Pre-Endgame, Banner and the Hulk are almost always referred to as complete separate entities. They couldn't reach Bruce Banner while he was transformed as the Hulk. The only way to subdue him was to beat him senseless until Natasha figured out a special connection to the Hulk. But here, Sam literally appears to the sadness of Red Hulk. That's not how this works. But how else are you going to resolve a fight between a subpar rapper in goggles and a 9-foot rage monster whose skin burns everything it touches? And moving on from the redundancy of the film, it's all so sterile. There's nothing interesting. Giancarlo Esposito gets abandoned for most of the film, but that might have been for the best. While he was there, his character was shaping up to be pretty similar to what directors seem to think is the only role he can play. They finally remembered that there's this giant celestial just sitting in the ocean, so that's fun. They're scared to be even remotely controversial, even with stuff that shouldn't be controversial. Can't have an Israeli superhero character, or the Queers for Palestine population inside Disney would get mad. And the country the USA is feuding with in this movie, up to the brink of war, is Japan. That's weird, because Japan is one of our closest allies, which is especially amazing considering in the last 100 years we've dropped more nuclear bombs on them than on every other country in the world combined.
I'll take Jap-anus relations for 200.
You would think the country we'd be in a very adversarial race to acquire adamantium against would be Russia, or most likely,
China.
Oh, but you don't want to piss off all the commies, so this can be shown to all those potential moviegoers over in Beijing, do you? But if ever there was an instance in the MCU that showed the feckless, vacuous lack of imagination of Disney, it would probably be handing over the mantle of Captain America to Sam Wilson. What was the plan with him? Seriously, because up to and including this movie, he's just been Falcon wearing red, white, and blue and holding Cap's shield. You would think that in this movie, the first where he really is Captain America, it would almost be like an origin story, or more like a transition story, as it were. Here's something interesting that Disney is too scared to explore. What does it mean for Sam Wilson, who is completely different from Steve Rogers, to be Captain America? Because they really didn't do a good job with this in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Normally, I'm not one for bringing race into movies, especially comic book movies that are supposed to be just fun escapes from reality. But what does it mean for Captain America to not look anything like the typical American? The typical American outside of commercials, that is. What does it mean for Captain America to not be a super soldier? For him to be as vulnerable as any other soldier? And what does it mean for Captain America to not have gone through what Captain America went through? Steve Rogers was a scrawny kid that constantly got beaten up, but he was courageous in spite of his size and never backed down.
You just don't know when to give up, do you?
I can do this all day.
He was selfless and put his body and even his life on the line to protect others.
Grenade! Move, move, move! Get away!
He recognized evil and sought to fight against it, even though in actuality he was powerless.
I don't want to kill anyone. I don't like bullies. I don't care where they're from.
He was clever and could solve problems in ways other stronger men didn't think of as they relied on brute force. It was after he proved all of those qualities when he was weak that he was given super serum and made Captain America. So how does Sam Wilson prove he's worthy of being Captain America? He joined Cap after he had been a sergeant in the Air Force and had fought multiple tours overseas. He wasn't elevated to the mantle because he showed strong characteristics even as he was weak. He was elevated to the mantle because he was there and had been loyal to Steve Rogers. And he was there because he had been running around Washington, D.C. at the same time as Steve. He gets his ribs broken in a fistfight because he has no super strength or agility or any of the things that Cap had when they made him into a super soldier. He's fragile, even though the movie pretends that he isn't, as he takes the kind of punishment that Steve would have taken, bouncing off of cars and being buried under pieces of a road. None of this makes him Captain America. I think if I could force the writers of this film to answer the question, what makes Captain America Captain America? Their honest answer would be a vibranium shield and red, white, and blue. Captain America has been reduced to someone who moves like Iron Man, fights like Falcon, has armor like Ant-Man and Black Panther, and apparently loves America like the Mandarin.
Captain America represents a lot of different things, and I don't think the term, America should be one of those representations.
Just a hodgepodge of superheroes with a Captain America wallpaper plastered over him to cover up the massive holes in the foundation. An absolute shell of his former greatness. And he got a movie fitting of that new legacy. One that had been pieced together from multiple reshoots over several delays. A weak, shallow movie for a weak, shallow Captain America.
All right, the sauce.
What?
The sauce. I don't know. You're using too much sauce, okay? Review's over.